Welcome back to my below zero no damage run of Mina the Hollower. Today I'll be using my bone stones to repair the train, and then I'll take it over to Coltrane Peak for my 4th generator. This area actually has 3 different bosses, so we have some work to do. Let's get going. We have another fight with Thorne coming up. Many of his attacks are a repeat from last time, so I'm not going to rehash those. However, after he takes a few attacks, he'll fire homing fireballs and then start flying. Wait for the fireballs to head in your direction and then just burrow under them. Once he takes to the sky, he'll start flying in a figure 8 pattern. I generally like to set up camp just above his highest point, or just below the lowest point. Attack when he gets close, but don't pursue him too far. That's a good way to make a mistake. Now, if he points his spear at you, he's going to charge at you from above. I usually try to burrow under this, but if there's a lot of distance between us, I'll also just sidestep it from time to time. If he uses echolocation, you can try to sidestep it, but it won't always work, so just pay attention to how many times the echo hits you. That number will be how many times he'll be charging at you in a row. This moves faster than the normal charge, so you should rely more on the burrowing than the sidestepping. When he's finished, watch for a shadow on the floor, because when he lands, he'll be wide open for attacks. It's also worth noting that the floor will shrink over time during this fight, but I don't think it fundamentally changes what you have to do. Lean on your ability to burrow and just keep it up until he eventually falls. I always want to be honest with my audience, so I'm going to be straight with you. After the fight with Thorne, I made a stupid mistake while trying to clear the snowmen from the train station. But I refused to redo the boss fight after that, so I just restarted the room. That will be why Mina is in a different spot before versus after the cutscene. I'm actually going to double back and take the other path first. There are quite a few bones over there, and it'll open some shortcuts back in the Eastern Heath while I'm at it. As an added bonus, I'll finally do that fight against Maxi before returning to Coltrane Peak, so good news for anyone that wanted to see that fight. Maxi will always jump in the same pattern. One small jump, one big jump, then another small jump. So I try to damage her after the first jump, and then I let her jump over me while I prepare for the incoming attack. Her first attack is the whip, which you can sidestep if you're far enough away. Otherwise, you can burrow under it. However, you have to look out for two potential follow-ups. She can leave the whip to dangle and then drag it around the room. When this happens, I usually just try to keep my distance, because the dragging attack will always end with the more dangerous follow-up. If you ever see her pulling the whip back instead of letting it disappear, get underground and move around the boss. She'll break her whip and toss the orbs in a cone in front of her. The initial onslaught moves pretty fast, but you can find gaps among the slower orbs as they fly if you're too far away to get around her. This attack also leaves her vulnerable until the orbs disappear, which gives you all the more reason to try burrowing around the boss instead of trying to dodge the orbs. It's an excellent opportunity to get some damage in. Lastly, she can also toss axes, and it works exactly the way it does when you use the same sub-weapon. Just burrow away and move in a circle around the boss until she stops. Without having any trinkets, you're going to slide on the ice. What I always like to do to counter that is to use my jumps for movement. As long as you stop moving before you hit the ground, you won't slide. This works in literally any game I can think of that has ice mechanics, and Mina the Hollower is no exception, so give it a try. One other thing that's worth noting is that if you burrow into the ice, you must let go of the jump button before you reach the end of the platform, or you're not going to jump. I forgot about that several times as I was going through this section. The frozen mouse very nearly hit me on my way to the exit. Honestly, I should have just fought it. They aren't that difficult since you can just jump over the projectiles, but in my defense, I didn't think he was going to follow me as closely as he did. Especially if you're on a normal run, be on the lookout for hidden rooms and items under the tracks. There are all kinds of goodies down there, you just have to look for a spot that'll allow you to burrow under them. I'll show you the next one, but I'll skip going through it since I can't collect the chest anyway. The area to the top right will lead you to a mini-boss, as well as another trinket. So I'm obviously going to skip it for now, since this would be useless for my run. The wolves can move pretty fast, but on the other hand, there are gaps between most of the platforms in this room. So once you take out the first one, you can lure the other ones over to a hole and just abuse your superior range. The Frozen Horror is a simple boss, but it's also an easy one to screw up on. It mostly plays like a game of Breakout. You just want to hit the boss whenever it gets close. It'll break more ice cubes and then you can attack it again. Every once in a while, however, it'll fire additional ice cubes that you'll need to deflect, and it will also attack you with the occasional fireball. Eventually, it'll also attack with an entire line of fireballs, which will propel it backwards. The best thing to do in that scenario will be to get behind it, because the direction of the attack will not change until it stops. When you get close to the end of the fight, the room will shrink and the boss will speed up, which makes it incredibly easy to make a mistake. I seriously can't tell you how many times I got it to the last hit or two only to collide with it at the last second. When you get to that part, I highly recommend you bring along either the recall disc or the Mistgar sub-weapons. This will allow you to move through the boss in an emergency. Kinda like having an additional burrow that activates quickly. Focus on dodging and eventually your moment will come. When you finally take it down, don't relax yet. If you dare to take a victory lap, you will immediately regret it, because the boss will toss a bunch of fireballs during the death animation. Run around the edge of the room until it stops, and then you can celebrate all you want. Before I continue on, I'm going to take another detour to the mirror world. There will be a bunch of bones to pick up over there, and then I'll continue the climb. The climb to the summit will be filled with obstacles that are directly inspired by every old gamer's least favorite childhood memory, the Medusas from Castlevania. Watch for the daggers that fly in from the sides. They'll move in a big wave pattern until they reach the other end of the room. They can also be destroyed if you attack them, so in an emergency, you can just hit them. Take that, PTSD. Like I said before, these mice aren't too bad if you just jump over the projectiles. And don't forget to release the jump button when you burrow out of the ice, or you're just going to fall into a hole. Boy, I did a terrible job of throwing these snowballs in my winning run. This went way better in my other attempts, I assure you. Watch out for the purple knight. They work similar to the ones we saw in Mourner's Mile, but they also have a projectile. You still just want to bait out the stab attack to get behind them, but now you'll have to deal with false alarms. I dropped a recall at the start just in case the enemy caught me while I was stuck on the ice, but it turned out I didn't have to worry so much. It's time to take on Locomotress Agnes, so here's a rundown of her moveset. First, she can summon debris. Each piece will float up into the air, and then they'll take turns dropping down and moving along the ground. Fortunately, these can be destroyed, so as soon as they touch the floor, just take them out and you'll have plenty of space to dodge. Second, she can dive into the floor, and then she'll pop back up in a different spot and keep diving. Try not to be in front of her when she does this, because I've seen her pop out from under me before, and I stopped seeing it once I made an effort to move away from where she was facing. Third, if you see her holding wrenches, you generally want to move from one side of the train to the other, ideally right to left if you can help it. Burrow under the wrenches, and then just make sure you aren't in a direct line from them to the boss, because she'll eventually recall them. Fourth, you'll see her summoning wheels. They'll drop to the floor, and then some will move to the left side of the screen while others move to the right. Keep your distance from where they're landing until you see the direction they're going, and then burrow under any that are moving towards you. Lastly, she can also do a claw attack, but this is very clearly telegraphed, and you shouldn't have a hard time dodging it. If you happen to be behind where she's going, though, feel free to hit her when she dips down to the floor. On one final note, the train itself poses an obstacle from time to time, too. Since you often have to move to the left as you fight her, and worse yet, there are occasionally holes that will spawn in the train, so watch your step. Once you get to the enraged, just sit in front of the weak point. Then just listen for the sound effect when she's going for an attack. It'll sound 3 times before she charges at you, so just jump over it. If she moves on top of you before going for an attack, just move back to the weak point. This part will be over in no time. I'm going for my final level 1 attack now, because I have the bone stones to spare and nothing else to buy in this run. Now I'm just going to take the train back to Ossex so that I can prepare to take on the next zone, which will be Bone Beach. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel before you go. These things all help in the algorithm, so I would appreciate the support while I continue making videos like this for YouTube. Regardless though, thank you very much for watching, and I hope I'll see you again for the next one.